popular social media superstar, the renowned content creator, the serial risk taker, and undefeated fighter, introducing the problem child, Jake Paul!
Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
That's it. There's no way big. That ain't gonna do anything.
You're doing really good. All right.
Before the fight was the early rounds could be decisive, and it is quite clear.
Leyenda continúa. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Doggy effort by both guys. Nothing was left in the corners. Nothing was left in the gym.
Overall, Jake, how'd you feel in there?
I just felt flat, man. Not my best performance. I guess that happens in the sport. You know, you got to peak right at the right moment. You only get one night, one chance, and I messed that up, I guess. But didn't think I'd ever have to make one of these videos, but it happens, I guess. This is still the best job in the world. Thank you all for the support. This was an amazing event, and I'll be back. No worries, cuz.
I feel, Jake. I know there was a lot of talk about him and his power. You took the shots pretty well, and you knocked him down.
No, his power wasn't that crazy. He just had good speed, good combinations.
Yeah.
But Anderson and Tyron hit really hard, so I was used to that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Boxing, man. You got to take it on the chin, but it was good. Some good moments in there. I just really couldn't get my game plan working. But hey, man, this is what the sport's all about. You win some in glorious fashion, and you lose some. And like I said out there, judging by my losses, because I'll be back. You know, I think he was just really well prepared, and I think it was more.
The Jake Paul vs. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fight just days away. DAZN Boxing has released exclusive footage featuring interviews and commentary from notable guests, many of whom are surprisingly backing Jake Paul. UFC fighter Arman Tsarukyan spoke highly of Paul, expressing admiration for how far he's come despite starting boxing later in life. Jake's a legend. Starting this sport late and doing well is not easy, he said. What impressed Tsarukyan most, though, was Paul's mobility and speed. He's a big guy, but he moves like a real boxer and hits hard, he added, confidently predicting a win for Paul this weekend. While the stats might not favor Jake on paper, many feel Chavez Jr.'s recent performances have left the door open for an upset. Given Paul's improvement and Chavez's decline, some experts believe the YouTuber-turned-boxer actually has a real shot, and Tsarukyan isn't alone. Boxing icon Oscar de la Hoya has also thrown his support behind Jake Paul. As head of Golden Boy Promotions, De La Hoya has a vested interest in the event, with two of his fighters, Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez and Floyd Schofield, featured on the undercard. Ahead of fight night, the 52-year-old made a playful video sharing his predictions while wearing just his underwear, bringing classic Golden Boy flair to the hype. For the undercard, he picked his own fighters to win. But when it came to the main event, he backed Paul. Jake Paul wins by split decision in the 12th round. De La Hoya predicted, this fight marks Jake Paul's second straight bout against a former world champion, following his win over 58-year-old Mike Tyson last November. While Chavez Jr. is younger at 39, it's been over a decade since he competed at a world-class level. Even at his peak, Chavez had mixed performances, raising questions about how he'll fare against a motivated and better-prepared Jake Paul. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. has never quite lived up to the legacy of his legendary father. His career has been marked by controversy and personal setbacks. At the final press conference, Chavez Jr. didn't hold back when talking about Jake Paul. "No, I don't think he's good. He tries and trains hard, but he's not a real fighter," Chavez said. If he were a real boxer, then everyone else on this stage would be a legend. Everyone knows he's not a serious boxer. In some ways, this makes Chavez Jr. an ideal opponent for Jake Paul. Throughout his career, Paul has often faced aging or retired fighters, many of whom were past their prime. After his professional debut against fellow YouTuber Anesan Gibb, Paul knocked out retired NBA player Nate Robinson. He followed that with a string of bouts against ex-UFC fighters like Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley, twice, and Anderson Silva. After a narrow split decision loss to Tommy Fury, Paul bounced back with a win over Nate Diaz and then tried his hand against traditional boxers, defeating Andre August and Ryan Borland in quick fashion. But those wins, while legitimate, didn't generate much public excitement due to the lack of name recognition. That led Paul back to facing another former MMA fighter, Mike Perry, whom he beat by stoppage. He then moved on to a much-hyped fight with Mike Tyson, which ended up being more of a business event than a true battle, with Paul appearing careful not to hurt the 58-year-old boxing legend. Now, we arrive at Paul vs. Chavez Jr. Chavez brings name recognition, real boxing experience, and a past world title to the table. But like many of Paul's past opponents, he's also seen better days and is relatively small for a cruiserweight matchup. Still, Paul is treating this as a serious challenge. He's a great fighter. I like facing big names, legends, Paul said at the press conference. This is a tough test, but I'm here to push myself. After I beat him on Saturday, I'm going to keep chasing a world title. Interestingly, Paul was previously in talks to fight Canelo Alvarez, but those discussions fizzled once Alvarez signed a major deal with DAZN. So, the Chavez Jr. fight fits the usual Paul pattern, but this one may carry a bit more risk. Chavez, despite being past his prime, has trained as a boxer nearly his entire life. That's all for now. For more updates, highlights, and behind-the-scenes moments from the world of boxing, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a beat. Until next time, stay tuned and stay sharp.